Welcome to episode 21 of the Just a Moment Ago podcast. Today I'm here with Justin, JJ in the studio, and Josh Catlett, addiction advocate and social media influencer on the phone. JJ, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. Josh, how's it going today? Can you fill us in a little about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been in active addiction, and how long you've been on the sober path?
Yeah, so I'm from Tennessee. I'm 33 years old. I was born in Cleveland, Tennessee. I started using drugs, messing around with opiates, smoking marijuana at about 15 years old. And, I've got a pretty common story about, a lot of people start this way. The medicine cabinet, my grandmother's medicine cabinet, I was still in the hydrocodones. Ended up moving in with my dad at 17, which put me around an environment that was very influenced by drugs. So my drug addiction got a little worse there because I was pretty much able to do what I wanted to do. Started going to jail at 18, always around the wrong crowd. So from 18 to 26, I was in and out of drug addiction. I was, on the pain pills, the opiates, drinking alcohol, the methamphetamine, the whole nine.
So you really
At the age
found
of
yourself
26,
young.
yeah, bro, yeah. So at the age of 26, I basically had an epiphany, and I wanted to change my life. I was like, I'm 26, I'm not getting anywhere in life. I got to get rid of these drugs, whatever. So I did that. I got in the gym, started working out. I got off the drugs completely, stopped smoking cigarettes, everything. And that would last about 5 years. In that 5 year span, I ended up getting married, bought a house, paid off all my probation, got my driver's license back, got my GED. Just a huge turnaround.
Right.
So at the age of 29, I want to say, or 30. At the age of 30, I ended up leaving my wife, and I think that single life got me, man. So I ended up messing around with fentanyl. Now, at the time, I didn't know it was fentanyl. I thought they were like real prescription. The counterfeit 30s, man. I
Yep.
didn't know really anything about them. So when I had started taking them, I thought they were real prescription Percocet or Roxy.
Oh yeah.
So by the time I found out that they were counterfeit fentanyl pills, by that time I didn't care. I liked them. I was addicted to them. So I just kept taking them.
Right. And you probably
Uh,
felt like you could do it on your own level without, ODing or anything because now you're used to them.
that's exactly what I thought. See, I didn't understand the whole. I didn't have no tools in my toolbox because when I got clean, I didn't go through a program or learn any skills or coping skills or anything like that. So in my mind, I was cocky about it. I thought, okay, I could keep this under control. I've been through addiction once before. As long as I only do it on the weekends, I'm not going to become dependent. Yada yada yada. I can do this. Well, that quickly turned into every weekend, and then a couple through the week, and then it turned into a full blown addiction,
Right.
like it does for most addicts.
Right.
So that fentanyl addiction would go on to last about 2 years until the age of 32. So from 30 to 32, it got really bad at the end. I got to the point where I was taking about 30 of the counterfeit pills a day
Wow.
and lost everything I had. I had built myself up to a six-figure job. I had two vehicles. I had my own place. I was doing very well and lost it all. Lost it all. I ended up catching a fourth offense DUI on account of, being high on fentanyl and whatever. And I lost my job. I lost everything pretty much. My place to live, my vehicles, whatever. I moved in with family. So when I finally decided to get clean, I moved in with family in Nashville, Tennessee, 2 hours away from where I'm from. And I started my getting clean process. Got clean. I utilized Kratom for the ones out there wondering how I did it. I utilized Kratom for a couple of months. Ended up coming off the Kratom. And then that's when I started my YouTube journey. And then got into TikTok and then Facebook. And a year later, here we are on social media, a year clean.
Right. I like that you are open about the toolbox, not having the right tools to not use and not go back to that at the time.
Yeah, it's important, man. It's important to have that.
Because today we're going to be discussing pause. That's kind of the topic. And with JJ, he's actually in PAWS right now, and he does have some tools, to actually get through some of this stuff and maybe not end up back in a program.
Coping skills.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
You
only
know,
way to put it. Coping skills.
before we jump really into the PAWS, I do just want to talk a little about the symptoms, how it is basically a lot of the same symptoms you will have in your typical withdrawal, but you'll also have your mental state will be different, your cognitive ability will be different, and your physical is going to be really messed up.
Yeah, that's
So if you don't have the proper tools and coping skills, you're gonna have a really hard time getting through that.
Yeah, for sure. It's
And
like, from my experiences, the acute phase, obviously, it was the worst for me. That's when you're dealing with the sickness, the throwing up, the diarrhea, the can't sleep a wink,
yeah,
barely being able to sleep 5 minutes at a time, wanting to pull your hair out pretty much.
yeah,
Unbearable. After that, for me, obviously it gets easier physically, but the mental side of things I don't think that gets too much easier.
yeah, you're still struggling with it now, or
No, I'm not now, but I'm talking early on, like,
right? Okay,
after the 2 week to a month phase, the lingering
right.
of it.
How long
That's the pause.
did it take before that went away for you, like overall?
For me, it took about 3 or 4 months.
You were even after the fourth month, you didn't have any more of those mental things go on either.
Not on an extreme level. I might have had depression here and there, anxiety here and there.
Like I kind of
You
envy you,
know,
like you really were
yeah.
able to
yeah,
heal quick.
3 months.
yeah. But at the same time, I was in the gym, eating properly, taking my vitamins, drinking my water. I'm telling you guys, that has a lot to do with it.
Right. See, I
Absolutely.
I
Fitness,
always did the vitamins and hydration and eat properly. I don't go to the gym. I go for 2 walks a day for about 45 minutes each.
okay, so working out, running, putting some intensity into your life,
Right.
it's actually a natural anxiety medicine. It's a natural mood booster. It's natural because what it does is it gets them endorphins flowing in your brain.
Right.
The biggest thing about pause is it's hard to get your brain back working properly, like your happiness, your dopamine
100.
going, your natural what do you call it? Your natural dopamine. It's hard to get that. So
The
fitness
reward
will kickstart that for you.
section in your brain.
Yeah, your reward system. Yeah, fitness will kickstart that for you. It'll help your brain adjust back to that because when you get going in the gym and get your blood pressure up it makes you feel alive for one, and it helps you. It literally gives you that reward. Like your anxiety goes away. At least it does for me. That's how I can mean.
Well, I
So that
actually
that kind of turns into a drug itself.
Once you start seeing
Yeah.
results too.
Yes.
yeah,
100%.
cuz last fall I started going to the gym with one of my buddies, but he actually relapsed and then it kind of fell apart. And we haven't been talking since then. But I do, when I was going for that, I went for about 2 months before that happened, and I was getting stronger and feeling better. So I can see where that comes from for sure, other than just walking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I've
mean,
always
walking's
just
good, man.
believed,
Walking's therapeutic.
yeah, I've
It's
just
good to get
believed
that
so
fresh
strongly
air.
in walking,
Yeah, because it's a lot easier than running. I guess you got to start
well,
somewhere.
I'm not a runner. I'll lift weights and stuff.
Yep.
I just really enjoy my morning and evening walks, and I feel like I get a solid workout just from a decent walk. But yeah, you need some intensity.
Yeah.
The intensity is what gets the endorphins going. You,
Right.
you ever heard of a runner's high?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's real. That's a
Of
real thing.
Yeah, I used to date somebody that ran a lot, and she would talk about that. Go
Once you
ahead.
get a taste of it, it becomes addictive, man. It becomes addictive.
Yeah,
But the problem that most people struggle with is that beginning phase, getting started. Man, it's hard to get yourself on a run or go to the gym in the beginning.
Oh
But
yeah.
once you get in that routine and you start seeing them results, it becomes an addiction.
well, one thing too that I feel is, harder for people coming off the programs too is like you and JJ have both said that the clinic doesn't prepare you for afterwards. They don't talk about pause. They don't discuss any of that when you're intake or even really during the program. You go to counseling and stuff, but they're not preparing you to come out of it
For the
and do
inevitable.
good. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people in the programs get so high on their dose. Like they get up to 180, 200, 250, 300 milligrams of methadone because they're chasing
Yeah.
this euphoria that they're not going to get, and they're not aware of what's going to happen when they want to come off of it. And now they just got like this nod off thing going. They're not getting high. And then you have to deal with that later.
And that
Yeah.
too, I have a friend who he was on I think he was on 240 milligrams right when he started to, and that's what I want to bring up too, is where is it the doctor's responsibility to not do that, and where is it, your responsibility?
Do they have a limit on how high you can go in Tennessee? Do you know?
I'm sure they do. I don't really know. I was never big on the methadone clinics and stuff.
Right.
I'm not sure. I could Google it though and find out. Let's see.
I know someone came up here from North Carolina and they said they can only go to 180 down there. And up here, it doesn't seem to be a limit.
No.
Everybody's kind of free to get as high as their doctor will let them go.
To the point where they're,
If the way the programs were ran a little different, it might be different too. But yeah, the programs are a little rough for sure.
I'm very controversial when it comes to, like, if you really go through my social media, I get a lot of hate, I get a lot of love, whatever. But when you're controversial like me, it just comes with it. I've got my opinions on MAT, methadone, and my view on it is it's great. It can save your life.
Correct.
But like you was talking about, people aren't aware of
what they're putting in their own bodies.
People are living in the moment.
Right.
Yeah, people are living in the moment. You gotta look long term. You gotta look like, what's your goal with this, and what you need to be using this as a tool to get to the end result. It doesn't need to be the end all be all. And a lot of people look at that, at MAT, as an end all be all, and doctors encourage that. I mean, a lot of doctors will tell you might have to be on this forever.
Why wouldn't they? They're making money off it.
Right. So
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying it's wrong. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's an incentivized way to get money. And in the beginning of MAT, it wasn't looked at that way. It was looked at like it was supposed to be, a tool to get to where you need to be. But I think what happened is these doctors and the government or whoever found out that they could make money. They could make a lifelong customer out of people. And I think that incentivized them to start telling people, hey, it's okay to be on this for the rest of your life. I mean, let's be clear here. MAT is not something that's healthy for you.
Right.
It's not something that's necessarily good for you. Yes, it can save your life from overdose, but to be on opioids long term, I mean, it has effects on your heart.
Yeah.
It has effects on your digestive system. It has effects on your brain chemistry. It's not good for you. So it should definitely be used to eventually, come off one day. Use it as a tool. That's how I view MAT.
I love that you're saying that.
You said that so perfect.
That is perfect, man.
I don't think it could be said any better.
Because I have talked to some people that I knew were going in, and I said, use it as a tool, just like you. And then a month later, I find out they're on a crazy high dose, and they're chasing that high, and they don't want to hear the advice in the beginning. A lot of people are not seeing it as a long-term tool. They are living in the moment, just like you said.
Yep. They want that
they're looking
instant
at it as
gratification.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people, they look at it as, oh my God, I've cracked the code. This is the end all be all. They're not thinking into the future, and they'll defend that
to the last breath.
Yes, so because it's comfortable. They want you to tell them what's comfortable. I'm the guy that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Right.
And most of these people that defend it life or death in the moment, 10 years in, they will turn right around and tell you, damn, I'm stuck. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be on this anymore.
Right. And that was honestly me from the beginning. That's why I pushed myself out the way I did and left the way I did and got in the situation that I did. You got it. You
Yeah,
have to, when you go in, you really have to be looking and educated immediately, or you're gonna make mistakes with methadone for sure.
right. I would say most people that are on MAT do get to a point where they're just sick of being on the medication and they don't want to be codependent anymore.
Right. It
You
does
know,
feel
most
like the
people,
clinic can run your life a lot.
The
a hundred
energy that
percent,
comes along with it, the people that you see every day, everything.
Yeah, the energy at the
a
clinics is
hundred
rough.
percent. It has effects on your life, man. Negative effects on your life. It's hard to travel
Oh,
because of it. You know, if you
Yup.
want to, yeah, like
don't
it's,
get me
it, it,
started
it,
on
it,
guest dosing. Don't. Oh man, I
yeah,
can't.
bro. It has some definitely. You know, it controls your life.
100%. But yeah, guest dosing is one of the worst things you have to go through, I feel like. But
What does that mean? Like dosing in another state?
right, or another city even. Even if you go a city over for the night, man, they mess it up so bad. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've had to drive back an hour and a half a couple different mornings because I woke up and they didn't send the right paperwork or they put the wrong date or the wrong city. Anything like that, they won't do it for you.
And this also, I'm glad you're talking about this, Dave, is how many times have you, because you spoke up against something that wasn't right that the clinic did, you notice stuff like that will happen.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden you're getting stop dosed, you're getting, like when you try to guest dose, it's
Oh
always the
man.
same problem.
We were in group the other day and someone was on the phone and they were buying beer and they accidentally their card didn't work or they wanted to use a different card and he's like, "You put that through for the beer?" And the counselor was like, "I don't think I should be hearing this right now." And he's just like, "I can buy beer for my family. Don't judge what I'm doing. I can grocery shop during group or I can not go to group. Make a choice." It turned into a big thing. And he's like, "Now I'll be stop dosed. Now I'll be flagged. Now I'm going to have to go through breathalyzers and everything for the next month just because of that." And it's true, you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I heard that, I was like, man, you didn't just say that, but he did. And it did turn into a big thing,
And
of
he's facing
course.
the consequences of, I kind of look at that as like you know, the big brother's always watching. If you say anything wrong,
Well, they take beer. I said that I had one beer once on Valentine's Day and I was getting breathalyzed after that. Like, you can't do anything like that.
anything you say and can will be held against you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing about opioids in general, whether it's methadone, whatever, man, MAT. Another thing, it has a very negative effect on men too.
Oh, for
So let me
sure.
explain testosterone to the people listening. A man's testosterone levels is one of the most important hormones in our body. It's what makes us ambitious. It's what makes us motivated to get up and do things and build something in life and pretty much be men, be leaders. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you suppress that hormone, it causes a wave of negative emotion. You know, you're not as ambitious. You feel lazy. You don't want to. You don't have any motivation to do anything. And unfortunately, whether it's methadone, Suboxone, Subutex, whatever, it does have a very negative impact on that hormone,
Oh, for
and
sure,
it can
man.
cause depression. That can cause depression.
My testosterone was at the very bottom that it could be. Like, I struggle with fatigue and stuff, but now that I've been on testosterone for 16 weeks, it's like through the roof now. And I'm still fatigued though, so I still have to do more labs because something still isn't right with what's going on with me.
Oh, so you got on TRT? That's a good thing, man.
Yeah, so I've been on it for 16 weeks, but now it's so high that I might have to stop doing it and figure out what else is going on because my fatigue is still through the roof too. And I did start tapering too because I know that methadone plays a part in fatigue and things as well.
Most definitely.
So
Most definitely. Have you thought about trying to switch to Suboxone?
yes, but it would take me quite a while to taper because of my issue with PAWS and how bad I had it. So I'm thinking I should just taper slow the right way and not go on anything. Just get off of it.
Yeah, yeah. I say that because they do. I'm sure y'all have heard of the new Sublocade shot,
Yep.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for people that are on Suboxone specifically, and I hear such great things about it, man. I hear such great things that it's hard to overlook it. So I try to preach it as much as I can.
For
People
sure.
tell me that they go and they get 3 doses of Sublocade and they never go back and they don't experience withdrawal symptoms.
That's incredible.
So is
Yeah,
I have heard of it. Now, is that like a shot in like the
it's a
arm
shot. It's
or
basically, I don't know where they put it. It probably is in the shoulder or something, but or maybe subcutaneous or in the fat. So
Right in the
basically,
butt.
it's a
kind of like
long-acting Suboxone.
okay?
Okay.
So it's kind of like I don't know if you know what was it called? I've done it in the
Vivitrol.
past. The
Vivitrol?
yeah, Vivitrol. Yep. Naloxone or no
Yeah, yeah.
Trexone.
The
Sorry.
blocker.
Yep. But
Yeah.
this is
It's
yeah.
not like that. It's similar. It's now Traxone, Vivitrol. Those are blockers. Those are non-narcotics. They
Right.
won't get you high, anything like that. It's strictly a blocker, which is great. You know, it's a pretty awesome tool to use. But
It also blocks
the
alcohol
Sublocade
too.
is the Sublocade's a little different. It actually is a narcotic. It's just like Suboxone. It's a long form Suboxone basically, and it's a 28 to 30-day shot. It lasts a month. You go and you get this shot once a month, and it's so long lasting that apparently when you stop taking it, you don't experience withdrawals coming because it's so gradual over a long period of time.
Sounds like it's worth looking more into.
Yeah. I guess and
Oh man, yeah,
yeah.
I hear about it from everybody that I hear that took it. I mean, I've got people in my community right now. You know, Zoomy on Discord.
Yep.
He took it, and he said it's the best thing he ever did. And I hear that from a bunch of people. So anybody listening trying to get off Suboxone, look into that shot. The only issue with it is if you don't have insurance, it's very expensive.
Yep.
So it's an insurance thing.
I was you just took the I was just gonna say that too. Is the readily available, if you have this insurance, that insurance, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
which is stupid, man.
just
I
like
hate
they
that they
want to
charge
do is just pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
because this shot is like $1,600 without insurance, man.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
I guess if you look at addiction though, if you don't have insurance, addictions it's expensive too. So you just
Yep. When people are in the
At the sa-
position where they need a shot
yeah,
like that,
I
they're
get it.
nowhere. That goes with a lot of things, like these rehabs that are, where do they come up? Like it's going to rehab is like buying a house, a brand new car, you know.
Oh yeah, $10,000 a month at least,
Yeah.
if not 30,000.
So JJ, you've been out for about 6 months now of a program.
Yep.
So with this, I mean, this conversation, how do you feel where you're at right now? Like you don't think that you're gonna have to go back on anything. Like your pause is still
It's still
going pretty good, but you seem to be getting through it.
yeah, and Josh, you talked about this yesterday when you were on the podcast with Dave. Um, that whole spiritual awakening,
Yeah,
where I was actually telling Dave this the other day is I've made it this far and I can't give you a concrete answer of how and why. I think it would take a lot of thinking about exactly how I've gotten this far. And that's where I really am grateful.
But if we're talking about leaving the clinic in just the last 6 months, because you left at 17,
Yep.
which we have discussed tapering responsibly many times, and that would go against what we talked about tapering responsibly.
Yeah.
We typically, you wouldn't want to leave above like probably 7 or 8, because I mean, I left at 11 and I still got paused that extreme.
Yep.
So,
And
what made you make that decision at 17, knowing that you are likely going to get pause symptoms?
with everything that was going on in my life, keep in mind, I remember I had to go about an hour and a half every day to go to dose every day. And
Right.
I didn't want that. I guess my stubbornness kind of was a positive.
So, in that moment, you just didn't want to go back and you just started?
Yeah. I the way I looked at it is I was prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah.
Like eventually, just like with any substance that we were actively using, it's gonna run out.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I guess acceptance is the best word for it. Is I just kind of accepted the fact that I was gonna feel absolutely just horrible.
Knowing that it could go on for a few months
Oh
or
yeah.
even longer too afterwards.
And that's where I noticed with you, like, you remember how cocky I was for like the first month?
But I kept telling you, man,
Yup.
don't do it. Don't get cocky.
Yeah. And that's when the insomnia started. That's when the just everything it was like everything hit me like a freight train.
Right.
Like,
So, Josh, have you ever even been into a program or do you have any experience with it at all?
Yeah, I've been to a Suboxone clinic, and I went to a 30-day rehab.
Okay.
uh,
So, how long were you on the Suboxone?
About 2 months. It didn't last long at all.
Okay. So, it didn't, like, what was the reason why it didn't work for you? Just this, like, rules and structure and stuff? Like, you need to be more your own person?
I wasn't ready.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wasn't ready, man.
It was
You
just
know,
too soon.
too soon, and plus I lost my job, and it got to a point where I lost my insurance. I wasn't able to pay for it anymore, and I still had that desire to hit the streets and use fentanyl. So, and this is another thing I tell people about MAT. It's not a miracle.
Right.
You still got to be willing to put the work in, even on MAT.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
The lower you get, the more you're going to start feeling things too as you're tapering. You have to be able to get through that. Because in the beginning, when you have those withdrawal feelings, you're going up, so you're getting rid of them. So you're feeling better. On the way down, if you're not healing properly, you're still going, you have to live with those withdrawal symptoms now continuously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still wanting to get high. That was my
Right.
problem. I still desired to get high. And Suboxone, if you need it, like if you're using it for the right reasons, it's not gonna get you high.
Right.
So
I
it was just
actually
making me feel
advocate
normal.
for Suboxone. I don't advocate anybody to go on methadone, especially after what I experienced.
Right. I think it's for a select few.
Yeah.
I feel Suboxone is the better option over methadone any day.
100%.
It, the way I see methadone, it's pretty much like, it's so old. It's 1970s they started it.
So, how many days, JJ, did it take you to stop having the initial withdrawal?
Oh, the severe withdrawal?
Right.
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks of severe withdrawal?
Yeah. It was I
Because I remember day 4 or 5, you said you were starting to feel a little better when it felt like you had gone through like the worst of it.
and that's what's really spooky about methadone is how like just when I thought I was gonna start really feeling better, it's like the next day I was like, I'm not saying that again.
Right. Well, that's what's spooky about all this pause and everything. When you start feeling better and then it goes right away again. Like the
Right.
other day, you were saying you were scared, or not scared, but you were feeling happy, but you didn't actually really feel that happy because you
You knew it
know
wasn't
that
gonna
negative
last.
feelings are right around the corner. So the happiness isn't fulfilled.
Yeah.
So after
A
2
lot of it's
weeks,
mental too, man.
I think
well,
it's like
right. That's
60
what
40. It might even be more than that.
that's what
Mental.
that would be like, is the happiness and you're just talking yourself out of it because you know there's more negative coming and you can't continuously keep that happiness at a decent level.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks, you were still, how'd you feel at 30 days?
At 30 days, I was feeling cocky. Oh, I beat this shit.
Right. So that was around the time you were having like this kind of pseudo euphoria.
Yeah. And
Like it was just a cocky, you were feeling like you were going to beat this thing for sure. And then right after that, you got hit with more symptoms.
they call that the pink cloud. They call it
Yeah.
did you experience that, Josh? When you
Oh yeah, for
first,
sure.
How long did
The
it,
peak cloud.
Josh, did it take for you to go into pause after active addiction?
I mean, it was immediate. It was
So
immediate.
you
Like
had
as
like
soon as I made it through
the severe withdrawal, and then from there it just continued into more and more symptoms.
it just continued into the pause. I could just feel the depression and the lack of motivation lingering.
Right, for sure.
And the hardest part of it for me was always in the morning when I would wake up.
Thank you.
I wouldn't be motivated
Yes.
to get out of bed.
That was actually my next question. I was going to ask you how you feel in the morning, what your mornings were like.
Well, my mornings now are good. I can get right up,
Right.
you know. I can get right up, and I mean, right now I'm cooking my breakfast.
But I mean, during pause, though.
Oh, I had to force myself
Right.
out of bed.
How are you
I did
feeling
not want to get up.
when you wake up, JJ?
It depends on the day, but I'm really glad how you said that. Is the mornings, if I can make it past, it's getting through right when you wake up. That is the hardest part, because
Yeah.
that was also what I did like about being on MAT, is you can go very early, because when I was in full addiction, that was my favorite time to use, was before the sun came up, when the birds were kind of chirping a little bit.
So, how does the day
Yeah.
progress, though? How did you feel by the end of the day?
That I usually feel pretty good at night.
Yeah. And Josh, what about you? Did you feel good at night during pause, or how did that go for you with your day progression?
I definitely felt better than I did in the morning for sure, but I wouldn't say I felt good.
Which that
Still
almost
hard to
seems
sleep.
weird. In the morning you think you'd be feeling better after having rest and everything, but when you first wake up, you just feel so rough in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And plus you have that mental that mental part of it, because that was like JJ said, that was my favorite time to use.
I feel
You
like it's a
know what?
lot of people's this morning.
Got to start the day off feeling good,
Yeah, and when you
Yeah.
do, you really start off feeling good when you're doing that.
feel
You
like
know,
you can
like,
take on the world.
yeah. I remember going to classes, every class, used them before, and just ready to go to class. Like,
Yeah. So y'all remember the morning times, like you wake up in withdrawal. You wake up like, well, for me, because I was on fentanyl, which is very, I mean, you start going into withdrawal fast with fentanyl.
right.
Um,
See, I
I would
didn't
wake
use
up.
fentanyl, thankfully.
No, and that's what I'm very grateful for, is I've lost too many really close friends because of that fucking fentanyl, man. I don't like that shit. I don't.
No, nobody does.
It's
It's highly addictive though.
yeah, it's very short acting too.
I would wake up in the middle of it. I couldn't sleep a full night because I would go into withdrawal in my sleep, and I would have to get up, take a couple of hits of my fentanyl, and then go back to sleep. Every single night, I had to do that.
That is crazy.
And that's what I've
So,
noticed too,
Yeah,
is
how long would you usually sleep before you'd wake up?
about 3 or 4 hours. Because I don't know what it is about sleeping, bro, but it puts you into withdrawal faster when
Yeah.
you sleep.
Do you metabolize
Like it
things
brings.
quicker when you sleep or something?
I think
Or,
so. I think so. When you sleep, your metabolism works faster, and I would wake up in sweats every night,
yep.
literal sweats, and in the middle of the night, and I would have to dose my fentanyl, take a few hits, you know, make the withdrawal go away, and go back to sleep, and I would wake up in the morning, and I would have to do it again.
see, and
Right.
how many times did you do that to go to sleep, and then you woke up and you had to be Narcan because you overdosed?
Fortunately, with the sleep, I never had to be Narcan because I would never do enough. When in the middle of the night, I'm sleepy. I don't. I'm just trying to do enough to just feel good to go to sleep again.
Yeah.
If you look at it, how short acting it is and how deadly it is, I just, it's an absolute, where we are now with drugs today, that to know that there's kids even doing this, is, it's like nothing's real anymore.
Yeah, middle school.
Yeah.
They have Narcan actually. Schools, middle schools, high schools across the country are starting to carry them. I actually talked about that way back on episode 13.
I mean,
That's good though. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
and they have this Xanladine. From I see, I do a lot of research on a lot of different things. As I'm a research geek.
Right.
Now they have something in this. They're cutting this fentanyl with that's Narcan resistant.
So in Wisconsin, the UWs, 11 of 13 carry Narcan right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that show? Where we're at with addiction now?
It's getting, yeah. So Josh, what kind of
It's worse.
support system do you think is needed for someone going through pause?
I think it's individual, person by person. But I will tell you this: the power of a community is essential, man. Like having positive people around you that are not using drugs and can encourage you to pretty much live the sober life I think it's essential. You need those people around you.
Yeah.
Right, for sure on that.
So,
And I mean,
which is,
yesterday you were talking about what JJ said a little bit ago, the aha moment. One thing is, do you think that your typical most addicts are going to have the strength to get to have that moment and to power through? Like, or do you think like counseling and some of these things is what's going to be beneficial for a lot of people?
I think counseling and programs is always beneficial. See, you, what I always tell people is that aha moment, that willpower, it's essential. The programs, the rehabs, the MAT clinics, that's not necessarily essential. You can do it without that. But if
Right.
you have both, you're setting yourself up for success. Because when you have that aha moment and you're ready to do this, in combination with the help, the counseling, the programs, you're just setting yourself up for success. See, that's what I didn't have the first time I got clean. Is I did have the aha moment. I had the willpower. I did the damn thing. I did what I had to do. But I didn't have the programs and the counseling that would have aided me in filling up my toolbox to handle, life without drugs, basically.
Yeah, that toolbox seems to be a big thing, having them coping skills and those different things. So, with that, JJ, what kind of obstacles are you going through with your daily life right now with pause? You have brain fog, your cognitive ability.
My temper.
Yeah, your temper. I noticed that you get triggered a little
Oh
easy.
yeah. Yep. And
Mood swings.
yes. That, that's
Irritation.
that's a really big one, man. Is I'm always very calm and collect, and I'm actually, people will get me to be the reasonable one.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I am, I don't have all this suppression from, methadone from anything, I'm just lashing out more because I want, yeah, it, I the symptoms, I guess I could go on for days sometimes. But what I am very happy with is it took me this long to get on a sleep schedule, and now I am feeling a little bit better every day
That's good.
because
That's
our
awesome.
our bodies need rest.
So, yesterday we were on our walk and we kind of talked about where pause can make you kind of have that victim mentality where you feel like
Yes.
life is happening to you because all these symptoms and different things are happening that you feel like you have no control over.
Yeah.
You have to try to overcome it and grab life and be able to do like what Josh is talking about and get through that aha moment and take control back of life, not let it continuously happen to you and the symptoms and things.
Yeah.
Like when I look at where I was and how low I felt, it could be a very very hard challenge, but like Josh is saying, if you have those things around you, if you're doing the right things, you're going to be able to power through eventually.
Yeah. And this is where you come in. Is what you dealt with. Uh.
Like I wish that I would have been more educated back in 2017, 18 and 19 than I was. It took me a while to actually want to get educated and learn and really care about moving forward and being healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's,
What you're talking about, what you're talking about is accountability. That's a big one.
yeah.
Okay. So basically, holding yourself accountable for things instead of having that mindset. Well, damn, this happened to me because of this person did this or this. You need to flip your mindset to, okay, how can I blame myself for this happening? Because there's always a way. There's always
Yes.
something
Yep.
you did. And for a perfect example, I went to jail when I was 23 years old because I went and kicked somebody's door open because they stole my TV. And this is an example of not holding yourself accountable. Oh, well, they stole from me, so I had to do that. I had to retaliate. It's their fault. Okay, let's flip the mindset a little bit. It's my fault because I was hanging around the wrong people. That's how I can take accountability for that
That's
and
really
not blame
awesome,
others.
Josh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that accountability is a big one.
Right. And um how about with stress? Do you feel like stress triggers symptoms of pause while you're going through it?
I don't know if it triggers symptoms of PAWS, but it definitely triggers wanting to use.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, JJ, when
Yeah.
you're going through it, your stress, it kind of triggers a temper,
Yeah,
and then it triggers like a mood swing,
it definitely does. Yeah,
right?
and
How does that affect your social relationships? You know, for me, it kept me from even wanting to be around people. I found myself alone a lot, but I didn't use though. Like, it wasn't an isolation where I wanted to use. It was just, I couldn't think, I couldn't do much, so I just kind of wanted to be alone.
I was talking with somebody else about this the other day. It's I don't want to be that person that ruins anybody else's day.
Yeah.
I don't want to because negativity is very contagious,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hell yeah, it
I just I don't want to be that guy who's always angry, who's always just ruining something. How many times have we ruined something because we got so angry? And now looking back, it's like, wow, I really fucked that whole situation up.
is. Yeah.
100%. What
And
about
that
you,
causes
Josh?
thing too.
Did you have any your social relationships impacted from pause?
Huh. It's hard for me to say because I'm such an introverted person. Um, I kind of shelled up
Right.
both times. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm doing the social media thing. I've got a large community of people I can talk to, but as far as like physical interactions, even still to this day, I don't have much physical. I kind of stay in my own lane. I'm a one-track minded type of person, which means I do what I have in my mind. And in my opinion, when I don't have other people involved in my life, I focus better. So
I can agree with
the
that.
relationships, yeah, the relationships is not really something that I really put a whole lot of weight on. It doesn't really matter to me.
And that brings up too. Since I've gotten sober, I've noticed I only want certain people in my life. Like I don't really care about having just so many different people coming over and hanging out with them. I've noticed I'm maturing, mature. That's the right
Yeah,
word.
man. People, places, and things
Is
it's an
everything with
essential step.
recovery.
Josh, is there anything else you want to add today?
Not that I can think of, man. I mean, I can talk about this stuff all day, but
Right, me too, for
Right,
sure.
right. Oh yeah.
um, as far as the pause go, man, I feel like I've said pretty much what I gotta say.
Cool, man. Sounds good. JJ, what about you? Anything else you want to add today?
Oh, one more thing. Because you're from Tennessee, it's really interesting because you were talking about kratom.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
What's funny is because we're from Wisconsin, and I also believe from what I've researched is our two states are the only states that's actually illegal to even have is kratom.
yeah. So that's probably gonna start to branch out to other states too. I see it coming. I see kratom becoming illegal eventually.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Is we're the only states that you could not possess that or buy it in a store.
Yeah, we live an hour from the cities, Minneapolis. So if like where we're at in Wisconsin, we can always drive to Minnesota for things. But not everybody has those type of options though either.
No.
Where they
Yeah,
live that close to a bigger city.
And what is the recreational marijuana legal in Tennessee also?
I'm not real sure, but I do know at them smoke shops they sell the THC shit.
The
So
Delta.
I guess so. The
Don't
Delta,
don't
yeah.
do Delta.
No,
Don't do
no,
Delta.
no
I say
delta.
that every time I hear
It's
it. Don't
poison.
do that stuff.
Yep. We've done
No.
enough
It's bad
research
for you,
on
huh?
that. That shit's
Man, dude,
bad
I'm telling
news.
you right now, Delta is disgusting. If you find some of the real labs, not the ones they
It's
want
got
to show you,
chemicals and
they're disgusting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff in there will mess your
I was
lungs
never
up.
big on marijuana, so
That's good
yeah.
though.
Yeah, marijuana wasn't my thing, bro. It always made me paranoid, and
Yeah,
I didn't like the way it made me feel.
right, right. But I mean, so Josh, thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem,
That
man.
was a
No
lot of
problem. Anytime.
yeah.
And JJ, thank you for being here again too. And
Always.
just to finish, pause is a scary thing and it can take a long time to heal from. We sit here with experience and understanding of what pause is and how rough it can be. But if you do the right things as much as possible, you can actually get through PAWS. It's a real challenge, but it is beatable.
Mm-hmm.
So thank
It
you all.
absolutely is.
Right. Thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay humble, stay happy, and make good choices for yourself and those around you.
Do your research.
Exactly. Hey, it's been a pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Josh.